Beverly with MUSE TV, and I'm here with Tayler Buck and Edi Gathegi from the film Princess of the Row. Now, I just watched the movie last night, and it is absolutely amazing. First of all, powerful. The message throughout the whole movie was crazy. It was powerful. I actually cried from this film because it's so sad. But
congratulations, you're a human being.
Exactly, yeah. So let's get started a little bit. So now I know this film was supposed to come out last year, correct?
Not necessarily. I think it did have a festival circuit last year, but
Right.
It was supposed to come out this Friday because that's what's happening.
So the film is, like you said, on November 27th. It will be coming out on all digital platforms. How does it feel? Are you guys excited about this film, or what's your thoughts?
I'm super excited. I mean, our whole cast and crew, I think we all poured our heart and soul into this movie. And so I'm so proud of it. And I'm so happy that we'll finally be able to come out and have everyone see it. So I'm really excited.
Right.
I-
So, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just echoing her sentiments. I've poured 3 years, if not a little bit longer, of my life into this project, and we're all very proud of it. And I think it's a special film, and I hope people find it and have the same experience that you did last night.
Because you, like I mentioned a little bit before, you were the actor and you were also a producer on this film, correct?
That's right.
That's crazy. That's insane. How does it feel to be an actor and produce in the same movie? How did that feel for you?
It's one of the most inspired, creative experiences of my entire career. Just being able to be so hands-on and have a seat at the table. Aaron Burr has that song in Hamilton, sung by Leslie Odom Jr. I want to be in the room where it happens, the room where it happens. And I got to be in the room where it happens, you know what I mean? Like oversee all the decisions. And I think that was important and valuable to have a person of color who has a seat at the table when it's a story about people of color, which is also incidental because it's really just a human story, regardless of race. Even though race does play a part in it because there's a disproportionate number of people of color who are living on Skid Row. But being a producer was fun, educational, and it has awoken a beast in me that just wants to produce.
Yeah, absolutely love the film, by the way, again. So now going a little into the movie. I know that, Tayler, you played Alicia, who was a creative 12-year-old girl who was basically in foster care, correct?
Right.
So, her main point was to be with her dad always, no matter what. You leaving 10 hours away kind of made it more harder for you to kind of, be with your father and kind of just help him out because of, the PTSD going on and him being a sergeant and a veteran. How did that feel playing that role?
I was really lucky. So I had Sean and Max there to help me kind of dive into Alicia's background and how they wanted me to portray her and how she was going to talk and act and, how far she will go to fight to be with her father. And so I was really lucky because Alicia, I really connected to her. I mean, I think we're both determined, very independent. She's so strong and passionate. And so lucky for me, I was right there with her, and I just kind of dove into that character. And I'm really glad that I had Sean and Max to help me kind of research. I did a lot of research, watching documentaries on, the foster care system and homelessness on Skid Row. So that was great that I had Sean and Max there to help me with that.
Right. So adding on to that, life in Skid Row. Like you said, you did have to go into character to kind of play the role of a young foster child. What was your first impression seeing Skid Row and the way that people live there? Did you have to go actually to Skid Row to kind of see how it can be played out?
Right. So I do live, in LA. So I had been to Skid Row a couple times before, to volunteer, do stuff like that. But actually, we filmed on location. We filmed on Skid Row, and in parts of downtown LA. And so actually being there and, filming there and seeing all the people around us, it was a different experience,
Right.
like actually diving into her character. And it was so great that we actually got to be on location,
Right.
because we got to see the real people around us and everything that was going on and how they were treated and, how they acted. And it was really great for my character as well, really great for the backstory.
Also for you, Eddie, kind of, can you give me a little bit of an example of how you felt seeing your first impression on Skid Row and the people that live there as well? What was your thoughts?
I've lived in Los Angeles for a number of years, and I've been aware of Skid Row the entire time that I've lived there, and I've been there many times. So I've seen it slowly expand, and the population on the streets increase year after year after year.
Right.
So it's impossible to play my character or to be a part of this story and not dive into Skid Row, not go there and feel it and touch it and feel it on your skin. I actually had plans to. Eddie comes from humble beginnings, but I went to school, a very great acting school. And I had plans to live on Skid Row for a couple of weeks just to get really deep inside the character. And my lady said, this is why you went to school. So you don't have to do that. If you try to live on the streets, I'm changing the locks. You have a house. You worked hard for the house. So I'm changing the locks if you want to live on the street. So I didn't get to live on the streets, but I hung out on Skid Row. We had a Skid Row liaison. His name was Gerald Hall, and he introduced us to a lot of his friends and residents of Skid Row, and we got to ask questions and have conversations and hear stories and dive in that way.
Also, how did the role of you both living in Skid Row feel? Now I know it's in the movie, but with the feeling of, like I said before, how we're talking about Skid Row, how did it feel to be into character, especially for you because you're a veteran and you kind of had to stay in character the whole time? How did you do that? How did you just stay in character, like just staying there quietly, just like staying into character?
Well, first off, we're a movie set and a film set. You can't even really call it a set because we're actually in Skid Row, but we're protected. We have security, we got cameras and stuff. But make no mistake, Skid Row is it's not Disneyland. It's got the highest concentration of violent crimes of any city in California. And I think of any city in the country, highest concentration in terms of population density. So Skid Row is a harsh place. And this is where the character lives. We were visiting to film this movie, so we weren't in the same level of danger, but you have to allow yourself to go there. You have to allow yourself to understand what's at stake. And Bo has no choice. This is just where his life has landed him. Alicia has a choice. And for her to choose to move down to Skid Row to protect and take care of and be with the only family that she can recognize, it takes a certain level of bravery. This girl is a warrior. And I think she's the warrior that is a product of what her father has taught her, because he's a true warrior in the war. And then also just her spirit. And I think that Tayler did a magnificent job embodying just what this character carries.
So Tayler, there were some intense scenes throughout the movie. We can kind of go into saying the car with you arguing with, I believe, was an aunt, and then another time where the scene where your father is in another room and you're preparing yourself for something that's drastically going to change your life, almost traumatically. So how did you prepare for those scenes?
I mean, I think they were really important to Alicia's story. It really shows, how far she will go. Right. And I mean, reading the script, I was 13 when I played the role. So reading the script, I wanted to do those scenes. These are things that are happening to real people. These are real people's stories. And so they're going through this at the same age Alicia was going through it, possibly even younger, so if me doing that scene brings, just a little bit of brings a little attention to that story, makes people kind of think about it more than I would do it. I would do it 100 times over just to bring a little bit more.
Yeah. No, it was great. I saw those scenes and I was like, wow, this is bravery. Honestly, like you guys are mentioning, it does take a lot for someone to go above and beyond for someone. And the way that Alicia kind of did that for her father was absolutely like, wow, you know what I mean? So it was something that a lot of people would go. And this is like something that can happen realistically to anybody, and anyone can go above and beyond for anyone. So the movie was very relatable to a lot of different people. I'm sure it will be. Also, kind of going into that, like I said before, how did you guys stay into character? Is there something you guys specifically did to kind of stay into character for each scene you guys did?
For me, I was pretty much, you know, like Alicia, especially with, you know, how she's so passionate and, you know, determined, and she's very independent. And so luckily for me, I related to her in that aspect. But, you know, going through the script and reading it, I think ever since I was young, I used to love to read, and I would, you know, dive into the books and think of myself as those characters. And so it's the same with the scripts for me. So having that little aspect of me relating to Alicia, that was great as well. But me going into the script and reading it, I became her. And so every scene I would do, I would become Alicia, and I would think, well, you know, what would I do? Me as Alicia, not me as Tayler anymore. Right. So it was great that I was, you know, able to do that with her character and help bring her to life.
Right.
So for me, there's a couple bullet points that I think anchor Beau, and it's survival, autonomy, dignity, and his daughter, that love. So scene to scene, it was just about the tether, the connection between me and her. And sometimes it would get severed, and then sometimes it was there. But in the scenes that I'm in with Alicia, it was just about allowing the space for love to flow between us, whether or not he was recognizing it. And then that's how I approached each scene with Alicia. And then all the other scenes, it's just about survival and dignity and autonomy and comfort, you know, things that make him grounded, you know, his military training, his stuff, the stuff that he carries with him, his backpack, his poop bag, whatever.
In a scene, there was, I guess you kind of got jumped. In that scene specifically, how was it like trying to stay into character for that specific scene? Like just getting beat on and like you just having to just stay there. Like, how did you get into that character?
Well, unfortunately, I think this happens too often. I don't have the statistics, but there's just a level of disrespect. I mean, this is the whole purpose of making this movie, is to change that narrative, to have people have compassion for people that they don't understand, that are struggling, that maybe smell, that look different, that look funny, that are living on the streets, all of these horrible things that you want to turn away from. The purpose of this film is to say, there's a human being there. You know, think about that. You don't know their story. Maybe get to know it, or at least develop a sense of activism, donate to a charity, volunteer, or spread the word. But this is the whole purpose of this film. And I think in that scene, that's the physical representation of it. It's the disrespect. It's people who will take it to the next level. They're not turning their back. They're not judging, but they're acting in a violent and harmful and negative way. So Beau was just minding his business. In terms of how did I prepare for that? I just minded my business. You know, Beau was just doing his thing, and then he has to deal with the ugliness of the world.
Right. Last question before we leave. Throughout the movie, there was a horse. What was the significance or purpose of having a horse in the film?
Well, it was a unicorn.
Oh, unicorn.
Sorry. No worries. It was the unicorn in her story. So Alicia creates her fantasy world, her as the princess, because her father, when she was younger, you know, called her his princess. And so he was the unicorn in the story, and she creates her fantasy world to kind of cope with everything that's going on in her real life. And so Beau is the unicorn, and he's tied up in shackles, and he's tied up in a rope, and that's when she can't get to him, and she's fighting to free him, and what happens at the movie. I don't want to give too much away, but right.
No,
The
not
significance of the
right.
of the unicorn is that it's Bo, and she's the princess fighting for him.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you both so much, and congratulations on this film as well. Is there anything you guys would want to mention before we go?
This movie comes out on all digital platforms the day after Thanksgiving, this Friday. And we hope that you watch it, you purchase it, and you tell all your friends and family.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you guys so much for your time. Absolutely love the film. Congratulations once again. Have a great day.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
us.